And then 2017 trolley schedule approval. And then Venture Productions grant. I think I talked about it a little bit. It's the building that belonged to the Card City Company years ago, and is being bought and has some very, very exciting potentials. Professor Sharon from the university, I just like you to talk about it a little bit. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So give us like an overview.
The backside of the company is a warehouse that's 60 feet by 40 feet on the first floor as well as on the second floor. What I envision there is a theatrical performance area that is also versatile enough to be changed over to a film studio as well as to a music venue. So we're in talks right now with a friend of mine, Bobby Gott, up in Buffalo, who is the reason that the Buffalo Film Festival exists the way it exists right now and has become incredibly popular. He's willing to do the same thing with me here in Fredonia. I've wanted that for years. I've wanted the Fredonia Film Festival. We envision a jazz festival in that back parking lot with the building as a hub in coordination with other people. I spoke with Rick Napoli the other day about this with some alumni who are in Brooklyn right now working and are excited about that possibility. The top floor of the Card Seed Company is, the only obstructions in the floor are two pillars, two steel pillars. So as far as a yoga studio, dance studio, martial arts studio that could be rented out, class space, I own and run Playground Drama Camp up at the university, and we've extended that to the rest of the year through the incubator, and so we envision classes being held there for that purpose in addition to other purposes that would be rented out to individuals, etc. on the top floor. The bottom floor, again, as far as theater and film and music go, is a wonderful space, as well as a versatile enough space that could be changed over for have your wedding here, have your group gathering here, kind of thing, in downtown. My desire, as I'm sure yours is as well, is feet on the street that are traveling from downtown to downtown from other places with Fredonia as a destination. This is Brittany and Liz. They're kind of my pride and joy because they are two recently graduated Fredonia students, and the goal is to keep that young talent here in the area. And so part of the bonus of the building is it has 6 apartment units in it. They occupy one of those apartment units now as part of their deal with me. They get housing. So the building really provides kind of all the infrastructure that we would need for a thriving production hub, I guess would be the right way to say it. And the grant would drastically reduce the amount of time that it will take for me to get there. And I'll crawl up a mountain to make this happen. But if there are state funds out there and we're worthy of them, then we'll do everything we can to demonstrate to the state that they should invest in Fredonia like we have.
Great. And then you have some plans for the stores in the front?
There are 2
Eventually,
storefronts. I can't imagine Fredonia without Karen's harem right now, so Karen will probably stay. But there are talks in the second storefront. We've talked about 2 options after I take over. The current renters there have their lease will expire next May, I believe. And what we're talking about is option 1 would be a dance supply store for mothers and fathers who have children in dance classes here in Fredonia, because my understanding is it's either Buffalo or Erie. So a really high quality dance supply store where they can get their supplies from, or we've talked about a bike shop that would also be used in the basement of the building. There's a full basement underneath that, the old Card Seed building. And Rich Goodman has recently had to close in Dunkirk and is interested in passing his legacy on to someone else who would take that over. So I've spoken with him about the possibility of putting a bike shop in that front store, that storefront, and then using that downstairs area as a kind of that's what will happen in 10 months in that other storefront.
Thank you. I have to say, I'm so excited about this whole project. I think it's exactly what we need. The first step in downtown revitalization. I am very excited for you and for the village. And now to explain, Nate, if you want to explain the process, the CFA process.
Sure. So the grant that Ted is interested in is New York Main Street's Anchor project, and that will cover 75% of the total project costs between $100,000 and $500,000. Ted's project, the total project cost, it doesn't cover acquisition, just the improvements to the eligible expenses related to improvements. That'll be up to 75% of that cost. So we're looking at approximately $350,000 to $400,000 grants. The way the New York State requirements work for this, first of all, the grant is due on July 28th as part of the consolidated funding application. And the state requires a municipality or a nonprofit to apply on the building owner developer behalf. The way the resolution tonight is simply authorizing the mayor to submit the application. It's not committing the village to accepting zero cost or liability to the village. There'll be a second resolution if awarded to accept the funds. The way it will be administered, the state will have a contract with the village explaining the reimbursement process, all the requirements. The village will have a separate contractual agreement with Ted. And then as Ted completes work, he'll submit for reimbursement. And then the village acts as a pass-through agency for those funds, resulting in zero financial liability because that work is already done. And then as part of the grants, administration audit fees will be covered 100%. So again, no financial liability to the village. And the Local Economic Development Initiative is committed to assisting the village with administration. As far as administering the actual grants, the village will submit an RFP for proposals and will select the lowest bidder for administration.
So
Again,
overall,
100%
we act
covered.
as a facilitator of the grant. We apply in the name of Mr. Saron, and from beginning to end, we have zero financial responsibility. We just we facilitate in the whole process, and I'm for one. I'm very happy to do it. Do you have any questions?
I just have a comment. That just sounds super.
Yeah.
I really am thrilled to see the partnership between public and private investment and the interest possibly from Buffalo area coming down this way. So it's
Thank you.
super, and I very am happy and thankful that you're involved in this. So thank you very much.
We're excited about it.
Yeah. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Excellent. And then we have the police grant acceptance. I suppose this is a grant. And do we have to talk about it?
It's for their safety equipment?
Yes, yes. I mean, you got the email. Brad, do you want to say something about it? We got the email.
I think the email pretty much explains it. It's just a grant from the Department of Criminal Justice Services.
Safety.
The Sheriff's Department was the lead agency in the application process, but all the law enforcement agencies in the county are included in it. And we will receive some protective vests, helmets, 4 protective vests, 4 protective helmets, and some patrol rifles for the purposes of basically participating in a future countywide or regional special response team. So.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Great job. And then, last but not least, the Center Connection Grant. And this is about the banners, and I'm going to let Nate explain the whole thing because he can explain it.
Sure. So again, I'm assisting coordination between the Village of Fredonia and City of Dunkirk and the Central Connections Initiative. So One of the projects included in last year's Central Connections Roadmap, as part of the technical assistance grant from the REDC, was the suggestion to brand the corridor between the city and the village. And the first page in the packet is a suggested design. What actually goes up on Central Avenue doesn't necessarily have to look like this. This is just an idea of what it could look like. And I believe there'll be some community involvement to select the background images, exactly what's on the banners. So the idea, again, and this is a consolidated funding application. The City of Dunkirk last week passed a resolution, and they've agreed to be lead applicant. In partnership with the village, applying for New York Main Street, or I'm sorry, excuse me, Market New York grant funds. You'll see on the second page the cost estimates. There's a few different scenarios here. The minimum grants application for this program, it's really the only funding option that this project would be applicable under. The minimum grant ask is $50,000, and that covers 80% of the total project, resulting in the total project cost at $62,500. So it would cover 80% of the banners, and then the village, of course, would be responsible for 50% of that cost, which would be $6,250. In addition to the double banners, on every telephone pole from Barker Common to Temple Street, and every other telephone pole from Temple to 7th Street in the city of Dunkirk, and then every telephone pole again in the city from 7th to Lakeshore Drive. Total project cost, like I said, $62,500. That includes the banners, design, and installation. There's a couple options that we can discuss if awarded, and those options could be reducing the number of banners and adding some wayfinding component, or doing some of the banners that are seasonal and would advertise events. So there's some options.
I like the wayfinding, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that can be determined.
Afterwards.
Yes. And we're also, the village commitment of $6,250, we're looking to offset that through a county occupancy tax grant for tourism, advertising, marketing, and we're looking to offset that cost in half, and I think this would be a very competitive project for that grant program. In addition, there's additional opportunity to offset the village costs, cash contributions by, if they have the capacity, having the streets department install, which could reduce the cash even more. So potentially this could be a zero cash project up to $6,250.
So this is the continuation of the Parks Grant. We had about the Parks Grant. We should do something this year. That's the suggestion, so they don't forget about us. And this is the easiest way.
And I think it
To
keeps
go about
the forward trajectory of the Central Connections Initiative going.
Right.
And it's something to build on in the future, and will give more credibility to future projects.
Right. And it would be good if we can reduce the amount
Of course.
closest to zero as possible. All right, thank you very much, Nate. Any questions?
The occupancy tax portion, who applies for that?
Dunkirk.
Dunkirk's going to do it.
We would have
Is there a
to
link?
communicate with the clerk of the legislature to see if it would be two separate applications or one.
Okay.
But that grant isn't due until October 15th, so we have some time. I have been in communication with the county about the possibility.
You have been?
Yes.
Good, thank you.
Now, when are we looking at the possibility of the banners going up? Would that be this year, or that would be in the springtime?
And I'm sorry?
I mean, if we go with this, what is the projected date where the banners would,
So Consolidated funding application
November.
awardees aren't announced until the first or second week of December.
December.
Next year.
So
And then it
probably
wouldn't
next
be
year,
until
So
next,
we're looking
probably
again
spring.
next year.
together with the parks. So,
So what resolutions do we have to put forward for this then?
yes, because the application is due the 28th.
Right.
So,
I have a question. The village cost dollars or less, be for any of these possibilities, double banners, single banners, or a mix, or what are we looking at?
So right now, that would be double banners from, I believe, Main Street to
Okay.
Temple Street, and then
Okay,
single
Single
banners
banners from
from
Temple
Temple to the
to
village
Seven.
line.
yeah.
But that could be, like I said, depending on, the will of the board and the community, that
Okay.
could be, the number of banners could be subtracted and additional elements. could
I mean,
be-
that's what I think. Maybe there are way too many to go every single post from here to Temple Street. Maybe we need every other post here and
Right.
then every 3 or 4. Because when you drive on Central Avenue, you don't want to be, attacked by
And again-
banners.
the banners.
These are double banners, so specifically on Central Avenue, I think probably cut that down to one banner
Yeah.
and increase the scope of the project by wayfinding or
Yes, I
other
agree.
seasonal banners that could be switched in and out.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, actually.
So if we just, hypothetical, if we shouldn't get awarded that grant,
And nothing's happening.
And we just won't do
that's what,
anything.
I just don't want to get caught because there's no money in the budget that week.
No. Nothing is
Okay.
happening.
I'm just checking.
Yes, and even the 6,000 is not
Yeah.
in the budget, but we
Yeah.
can put it for next year if we
Okay.
know by December that we have awarded this amount.
Okay, then,
Otherwise,
all right,
it's,
those were
at
my,
this point, again, it's just the application and nothing else.
okay.
Great, thank you very much, Nate, and thank you for your help.
Absolutely.
With Nate today, we went and we presented for another grant, we had our presentation in Buffalo, and we hope that we did quite well. So, fingers crossed. Okay, let's go to the buildings inspector report for May 2017. Sorry. And then the fire department report for May 2017. I have a request from the fire department.
Can I just ask one thing about, if we go back to the code?
Sure.
How do we look? Are we running about even, or are we lower than what we were in collecting some of the fees? I mean, because I know you're, with only one working now in the department, where are we, would you say, compared to?
My projection, when I did my yearly report in January, we were higher, but I think our village administrator thinks we're lower. So I'm not sure exactly whose paperwork's right. As far as this year.
Hey. The heck is that? That's on camera. Mine's cash.
But the last month, we've really started getting real busy now.
Okay,
So
yeah.
we've had to slow up on the fire inspections and stuff like
Okay.
that. Once Steve's trained, we'll get back out there and really start hammering those again. But building permit wise, we're way up in fees. We're
Yeah,
way
that's
up.
it here. Okay, thank you.
Right. And then we have the request from Festivals Fredonia regarding the Red, White, and Blues Festival. And finally, the request from Farmers Market to use the trolley on Saturday mornings.
Yeah, just,
Request from the-
that needs to be talked about,
Well-
because that's we don't know who would drive the trolley. The
They
trolley's
do
being driven
have,
by
it doesn't
volunteers.
say, I asked them to include that because they do have one person who who's qualified to drive it.
Okay.
Just one person.
Mary
not-
Straight, it says in the letter.
Who?
Mary Straight, a Class B bus driver, it says in the letter here.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, right here.
I guess, yeah,
Because we don't have anybody
right.
Right.
that would volunteer, because that goes from 9 o'clock in the morning until 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, 1 o'clock at least.
Yeah, so that's 4 hours or...
And she made that very clear that they do have a qualified driver, and they're not requesting anything.
Other than insurance.
Yeah, they're asking for the
They don't
liability
have,
insurance.
right.
And usually when they use the park or anything of the municipally owned, we have them have to have that $1 million policy.
Right.
So when we gave them the use of the park, did we put the extra insurance in?
The farmer's market? Yes, there's $1 million.
So does
for the
that
farmer's
cover the
market.
trolley?
Are they covered under the trolley? I don't
I
know.
don't
We'd have to
know.
look at that insurance
Right.
policy
Okay.
Yeah.
to make sure that that's
You think, or you
also
don't know?
going to be covered, because there
Yeah,
is
okay.
substantial liability.
Right. Well, it says, and they hope the village will cover the liability,
Yeah.
but we can't do that.
We can't do that. We do it for one, we do it for everybody.
Yeah.
You do it for everybody, yeah.
Yeah, so,
I'll check their
Okay.
policy that they
Okay.
provide to us to see, and then call their insurance agent. I'm not sure who it is, but I'll call the insurance.
But of course, if they say here that they're hoping, that's,
I'm not gonna vote on a hoping.
Yeah, well, yeah. we'll have
That's
to-
nice.
yeah,
Can we
I mean,
scrub that
Yeah, I think it's a neat idea. If it
Yeah.
could work, that would be great, but
but
This
they
needs to be
yeah,
taken
they need
care
to
of
do
by
the
them.
Insurance. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Where's the trolley?
very good.
This might be a table motion.
Yeah, it's gotta be a table.
There is no resolution.
Oh, there's no resolution for it? Okay, no.
No, because there were those open issues that needed to be resolved
Yeah.
before we pass a resolution, so I didn't put anything on there.
Okay, so, what time is it?
still not 50
It's
yet?
Saturday.
It's like Groundhog Day. It's 10 o'clock again.
Oh, my God.
Your kids are.
Okay, so we have about half an hour, so we can go to executive session.
I hereby make a motion to enter into executive session as authorized by Section 1051F of the Public Officers Law to discuss collective negotiations and to discuss possible employment of a particular person pursuant to Article 14 of the Civil Service Law.
Second.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Esser?
Yes.
Great, we'll be back before long.
Is that 40? Is that Mark?
At 7:30 p.m. in the trustees' room, second floor, Village Hall, Fredonia, New York, and public notice of the time of the open meeting law.
Whereas members of this board present at this meeting have read the official minutes of the Board of Trustees' regular meeting of June 12, 2017, now therefore be it resolved, this board approves the minutes as entered into the official minutes, and be it further resolved that the reading of the minutes be dispensed with.
I second?
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Esser?
Yes.
We have two reports tonight, the building inspector report for the month of May. 17 permits generated $3,667 in revenue. Building permits issued 42, inspections 23, certificate of occupancies 10, violations found 34, violations satisfied 19. Rental fees $560 in fees collected, certificates of compliance $1,235, and zoning hearing $950 for total fees collected of $5,462 for the month. Second report is the fire department report for the month of May. There were 161 total calls for the month. Rescue and EMS calls amounted to 125 of that total. There was one fire, 12 good intent calls, 20 false alarms, 2 service calls, and 1 hazardous condition. And that's it for reports.
Thank you. Correspondence was received from the Secretary of the Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department to remove Matthew Yost Lipschitz from the active roles of the J.C. Lumber Hook and Ladder Company and add him to the active roles of the Fredonia Fire Police Company.
Be it resolved that the name of Matthew Yost Lipschitz is hereby removed from the active roles of the J.S. Lambert Hook and Ladder Company and hereby added to the active roles of the Fredonia Fire Police Company effective immediately.
Second.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Correspondence was received from the Secretary of the Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department to remove Tyler Bales from the active role of the J.S. Lambert Hook and Ladder Company and add him to the active roles of the M.M. Fenner Rose Company.
Be it resolved that the name of Tyler Bayless is hereby removed from the active roles of the J.S. Lambert Hook and Ladder Company and hereby added to the active roles of the M.M. Fenner Hose Company effective immediately.
Second.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Thank you. And now we open the public portion. Is anybody wishes to address the board? Please state your name and your address.
Is there a way to raise this? Or
You're right.
do I need the mic? I don't think I need the mic. Okay. My name's Karen Schrader. I've lived in the village 17 years. Sadly, I've never been to a meeting. I voted for 4 of you up here today and Mr. Ruckman that's not here. My first thing is, I read in the paper about someone throwing $20. I feel the need to come and say, as a school teacher, that is bullying. And whoever was in this room and then did not ask the person to be removed, worst kind of bullying at all. That's bullying by being a bystander. Just sickened about that. I had to come and say that. I haven't been here in 17 years, but felt the need to come and say that. Secondly, I don't like reading in the Observer. I don't know what day it was. I was on vacation and just read 5 sets of papers. The 20 minutes of a meeting was spent on the mayor addressing a letter that he wrote. That to me is just total drama and a waste of time. I want to hear, what can we do for the youth? What does the police force need to keep us safe? How can we keep our taxes down? I don't want to hear that. That's all I'm here to say. I kept it short. 2 things really bothered me,
Thank you.
and
Thank
that's
you
all I
very
have
much.
to say.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Does anybody want to say anything?
Probably not. Because if you would have done it when it occurred.
Well,
Well, I'm
thank you
gonna
very
say
much for the
something then.
suggestion.
I'm going to address the mayor's, your concern about the mayor talking about Mr. Essek's letter to the paper. The reason she did that is because there were some things in there that were not true, that he implied about us. And so it's important to put that out there in the public, that some of these things were not true. So I think it was absolutely appropriate for her to apply, or to address
I
the
disagree
letter.
totally, but we can disagree.
Well, that's okay.
20 minutes is ridiculous, and that's not what I elected you people to do.
You were not here. We're not going to discuss this, all right? And Mr. Essek can talk for himself. People keep lying, I'll keep asking them. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Okay, let's go. Across the public portion. Yep.
Be it resolved that the purchase of a 2017 Explorer utility with paint from DeLacy Ford Inc. in Alma, New York for the total sum of $29,391 for the use by the Fredonia Fire Department, the Fredonia Police Department is hereby approved.
I second.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Be it resolved that the attached 2017 trolley schedule is hereby approved.
Second.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Whereas Ted Sharon of Venture Productions seeks to acquire, renovate, and adaptively reuse the former Card C building at 50 West Main Street in the Village to be known as Main Street Studios and Village Lots, and whereas this project shall spur reuse of underutilized space as office space for Venture Productions and a video production company that will be graduating from the Fredonia Technology Incubator, and whereas Venture Productions has created 2 jobs with the potential to create additional jobs as they develop the building as a hub for arts and cultural performances and events, both at this facility and at other public spaces downtown. Whereas this project aligns efforts to better connect the historic downtown Fredonia and Fredonia State University of New York and create economic development opportunities from this university and community connection. And whereas the developer seeks to apply for New York Main Street Downtown Anchor Project funding through the New York State Department of Homes and Community Renewal in the 2017 Consolidated Funding Application, CFA. And whereas the anchor project funds are intended to help establish or expand cultural, residential, or business anchors that are key to local downtown revitalization efforts, and this project fits these requirements. And whereas this funding would drastically expedite the time frame for implementation, expand the scope of the project, and provide critical gap financing, and whereas the funding application requires unit of local government or an organization incorporated under the New York State Not-for-Profit Corporation Law to be the applicant for the project. Now therefore, with the administrative assistance provided by the Northern Chautauqua Local Economic Development Initiative, the Village of Fredonia is committed to the following: to authorize the mayor to submit a consolidated funding application on behalf of Venture Productions and Main Street Studios and Village Lofts for funds through the New York Main Street Downtown Anchor Project Program at zero cost or liability to the village, to direct the mayor to explore a partnership with the Northern Chautauqua Local Economic Development Initiative for grant administration services, should the grant be awarded, to work with the developer to maximize the impact of this project to historic downtown Fredonia and drive additional tourism, events, and leverage additional downtown revitalization efforts.
Second.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linder?
Aye.
Trustee Jones?
Whereas the Village of Fredonia Police Department has been notified that they will receive a grant from the Police Protective Equipment Program for DCJS approved patrol rifles and protective equipment to provide the greatest level of protection and effectiveness to local police agencies. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Fredonia hereby accepts said grant in the amount of $13,500.
I second.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Esser?
Yes. Whereas the Village of Fredonia is collaborating with the City of Dunkirk and the State University of New York at Fredonia on a regional planning initiative, Central Connections, which seeks to focus investments along Central Avenue, the 3-mile corridor connecting the City of Dunkirk and the Village of Fredonia, to build excitement among residents, increase private sector investment, build a lasting partnership between Dunkirk and Fredonia, and raise awareness of the unique assets that both communities have to offer to visitors. And whereas the Central Connections Roadmap is a document developed with input from stakeholders from Chautauqua County, the City of Dunkirk, the Village of Fredonia, and SUNY Fredonia, in addition to several past plans and strategy documents. And whereas it was determined that defining a brand gives the community a sense of identity and excitement that can foster collaboration, engage conversations, and spur action. Dunkirk and Fredonia are sister communities that possess their own unique assets and strengths that together make a stronger, connected community. And whereas the placement of street banners along the corridor was one of the projects suggested to create this brand and celebrate the relationship these two communities enjoy while providing a platform to communicate those shared assets, strengths, and collaborations to a variety of audiences. And whereas the City of Dunkirk, acting as lead applicant, will apply for a Market New York grant for regional tourism marketing to place banners along the 3-mile corridor, Central Avenue corridor. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Fredonia commits the following: to authorize the mayor to coordinate with the City of Dunkirk the submission of a Market New York grant in the amount of $50,000 for a total project cost not to exceed $62,500, to commit up to $6,250, 50% of the local share, and matching funds towards the project, to direct the mayor to work with the City of Dunkirk to explore 2018 Chautauqua County occupancy tax application for tourism projects to offset the local share by up to 50%, to work with the Streets Department to explore potential in-kind services related to installation that could lower the village cash contribution for this project.
I second.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee? All right, can I have a motion for adjournment, please?
We have to go back into executive session, right?
Yes.
Don't turn this, you have to stay open.
Adjourn out of the executive session.
Okay, so. we need to-
Okay, I hereby make a motion to enter into executive session as authorized by section 105(1)(f) for the public officers law to discuss collective negotiations and to discuss possible employment of a particular person pursuant to Article 14 of the Civil Service Law.
Second?
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essing?
Yes.
And Trustee Johnson, sorry. Okay, thank you for coming.
Should we stay here?
You can stay here if you want to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sure. It's probably.